Welcome to Boundless Investment. Today we will discuss about Turkish Citizenship program, but the one that are not so popular, the bank deposit option.
Almost none of the companies recommend this option because I think it's too straightforward and too easy. And the investor barely needs us.
And also, they don't get that much money.
Blasphemous. So you're talking about our competitors doing everything with respect to how much commission they make.
I don't want to comment on it.
That's great. So, but the bank deposit option, I think your investment advisor is not that important in this case, but your attorney is. No?
Well, I understand why you said that. The bank deposit option, mainly a process optimization. However, there is a financial aspect to it that you need to compare between banks by the interest rate.
Of course. I was actually fishing for that. Because what most people, most investors don't realize, banks, you can bargain with your banker. And within the boundaries of what they can and cannot do, you can get a better deal. And to get a better deal, you need to understand the current economic climate and what the banks are trying to achieve with their investors. Because you don't realize, but financial institutions herd their investors in a certain way. And if at any point in time you have something they need, you will get the upper hand. But can you give us how it's very important these days for banks to win citizenship by investors' hard-earned money for their bank deposits?
I like that you said win. Well, to explain that, I need to explain what is the interest rate scheme right now. Because according to the current legislation, the deposit you're going to make needs to be in Turkish currency. However, don't be scared by that. There is a currency protected account specifically going to be applied to your type of deposit account. And the interest rate, even though calculated according to the Turkish Lira, it is in the currency protected account. So basically, you can calculate your interest rate on USD.
So to put it even simpler, no matter what happens, the Turkish Treasury and the Turkish Central Bank will top off your account to match the initial USD equivalent of your Turkish Lira deposit.
So there are two options, right? Either USD going to appreciate or Turkish Lira will appreciate. More likely scenario is the USD going to appreciate, but let's talk about all options. In case that USD doesn't appreciate, in that case, the interest rate is fixed 30% on the deposit you make. In the second scenario, and the most likely scenario, the currency protection will be applied. And in that case, if you deposit for 2 years, which is the recommended deposit option right now, you will get 12%. But this also doesn't mean that you are going to take back exactly what you deposited. You're actually going to earn extra interest rate other than protecting your currency. So in the second option, where USD appreciates, you will protect your money by value and you will also get 12% for 2 years. However, don't forget, for Turkish citizenship model, you need to keep your money for 3 years. And for the third year, the exact interest rate is not announced yet. And also you cannot block it for 3 years right now. You need to block it for 2 years plus 1 year. And on the third year, we don't know the exact interest. However, on the third year, the most likely scenario will be the general interest rate on deposits, which is almost 34 right now. Of course, 3 years later, we don't know the exact financial dynamics. Even though the third year interest rate is not announced yet, this will be the likely scenario.
But in any case, at least you are protected for 2 years. That's 66% of the way, because you will liquidate your account or you will turn to USD, euros, any kind of hard currency after the 3-year period for citizenship expires. So being protected for 66% of the route is quite big. Mm-hmm. So mainly people don't take this route because they are afraid of the currency risk, no? Because you put 500K into your own bank account, mm-hmm. and you spend 3 years to the period mandatory for citizenship investment period to be over, you get the citizenship for free. Mm-hmm. The only risk is the currency risk, and you're protected for more than half of the way. So I think it's uniquely more attractive these days with this currency protected scheme you talked about. So basically, I don't think it will ever be such advantages. In any case, with the currency controlled accounts and the banks being more hungry for outside investment due to the recent economical policy changes in Turkey, I don't think bank deposit option has ever been more attractive before, and I don't think in the future it will be as attractive. So we are uniquely going through a period of time where using the bank deposit route for the Turkish citizenship is very attractive.
Actually, Ahmet, I have a question for you. It's more about the general economic dynamics of the country right now. Because regarding the currency protected accounts, there is some controversy over it. I mean, the locals, the voters, they complain a bit because it brings a huge financial toll on the central bank. And they also wonder how long it's going to continue, or does it profit to locals more than foreigners, or vice versa? What do you think the future of the currency protected accounts?
It's something very unnatural to begin with. It's engineered to keep the USD Turkish Lira currency exchange rate at an agreeable position to the government, to the, let's say, the ruling party. Because Turkish voters take the currency exchange rate into consideration when deciding their position on any political matter. But let's look at it from a neutral point of view. So basically, you're giving me Turkish liras, you're converting your USD to Turkish liras, and you are giving it to the bank. And the bank is saying the following: even if the currency crashes, I will top you off. Where does this money come from? It comes from the taxpayers, as usual. It comes from the country's resources. So the more currency control accounts there are, currency protected accounts there are, that's a large trouble for the budget, because you are getting paid from the overall budget of the nation. So it's unsustainable. It has been unsustainable for over, I think, a year. So we are way past being reasonable on this. But the current economic leadership has already announced they want to wind down this program. And they are trying softer methods, let's say, rather than closing the program altogether, which would create a currency shock. And then the money spent earlier to keep this sustained would be spent in vain. So basically what they're trying to do is that they're trying to convince investors, like normal investors, locals, that they want to convince local investors to give up their currency protected accounts and switch to normal deposit interest programs that used to be bread and butter of the banking industry in the past. And they're trying to convince investors to move to stock exchange, more active investments, to funds, in order to create less and less pressure on the economy. But is it working? Well, not so much.
They actually tried to do it through the banks. So I think 1 month ago, when I spoke with the bank branch managers, they said they are instructed not to open currency protected accounts for locals.
Yes.
However, then with some pressure, there's no basis for it, they opened these bank accounts. But for random person asking this to a bank officer, probably they will say no, we will not open it no more. I have heard about it. With some pressure, they were able to open. But even this way, they're trying to limit the new numbers of the currency protected accounts.
They are successful though. So because nobody asks their bankers twice. So in any case, don't forget, apart from all of these, whenever your bank is doing something against your will, ask twice. So, and you may get the result.
And also consult with your lawyer.
Yes. Find out exactly what you can do. But to wrap up, I don't think the currency protected accounts will be there for long. They should disappear. If I was in charge of the economy, I would take, of course, more drastic measures. I would just say one day, okay, guys, the show is over. No more currency protected accounts. To hell with the currency exchange rate. Whatever happens, happens. I'm much more liberal. I'm much more, surprisingly, I'm liberal on economics. But while there's a chance, as foreigners, take this free money bill, I think, especially if you're comparing it to putting your money in a European bank who don't give anything to your money. Thankfully, they are giving something these days, below 1%. But in any case, I would take this opportunity. And at the end of the 2 years where you can secure your money, on the 3rd year, there will be something else.
On the 3rd year, at least we can foresee that you will not lose value, because as Turkish people that wouldn't invest in foreign currencies, Somehow we need to at least protect our value. And of course, there is going to be some interest. And yes, the banks or central bank is not able to say an exact number on the third year's interest rate. However, what is guaranteed is, as long as the bank deposit option is opened by law, the currency protected accounts on foreigners who open citizenship type of bank accounts, this regime will be applied to their accounts.
So, Ece, let's say I have 500,000 USD and I want to take the Turkish citizenship through bank deposits. Tell me what to do.
I'll explain the route where the investor don't want to spend much time with the process. So minimum 1 day they need to come here, but not for the beginning of the process. Once they will issue a power of attorney to us, we will open their bank accounts, then we will inform them with their IBAN numbers. We are able to open different type of currency accounts. Dollars, euros, whichever foreign currency they choose, they will deposit this money into their bank account. Afterwards, we will go and exchange it according to the central bank's rate. And afterwards, we will apply for conformity letter. This conformity letter is also very known in the real estate option. In all of the options for citizenship application, this letter is mandatory. And this letter means that your investment is compliant with the citizenship law. Once we get this letter, we can move on to the immigration part. And it starts with the residency application. This is a new change in the citizenship laws or in the citizenship laws practice that the main investor needs to come to Turkey at least 1 day for biometrics, and afterwards the lawyer can make the citizenship application. Overall, the process for opening the bank account, depositing, let's say a week. In 2 weeks, we will get the conformity letter. Let's say for the 4th week, the investor came and we made the arrangements for the biometrics. 1 month later, after we start the procedure, we can actually submit the citizenship application. And afterwards, after we submit the citizenship application, it takes 3 to 4 months according to the workload of the ministry. And once we get the approval, the investor has 2 choices. Either they will come here to apply for their Turkish ID and passport, or they can make their appointment in a Turkish consulate where they reside in.
To summarize the process side, I want to just underline a few advantages of going through this route. So, number 1, I can open my bank account remotely. Number 2, I don't need to come to Turkey to pick the actual investment. So you're not seeing real estate, you're not doing real estate tours. Yes, you can buy from abroad, but let's face it, everybody wants to come and see what they're doing. And on top of that, acquiring the real estate and getting the letter of conformity for real estate has been historically longer, and it has a historically longer waiting time. So basically, you're optimizing the entire process for time as well. So it's a very friction-free path that you can take, and I think it cuts, easily 1 month of entire process.
Sure, yes.
I think we can say
By
that.
the way, I will cut you off, but the conformity letter timeline is almost the same right now with real estate and bank deposit. But of course, historically, as you said, in certain times, especially the time where the investment threshold was about to be increased, since the real estate is the most popular way, there was a backlog in the authorities. In bank deposit option, it rarely happens.
And a final advantage to everything, the financial risk of holding an asset is very low in this case because you're keeping something very liquid. And should you decide to move out of the program altogether for any reason at all, you can just give us a call and you can turn your account very easily to USD and you can send it outside Turkey. So on the real estate route, there is a cost of holding the property as well, and there are some transaction costs when the time comes to sell. And this is considering your real estate is keeping its value.
One thing I'd like to add, the 3-year blockage is not done by the government. It's done by you. You voluntarily block your money for 3 years, and in any time of point, if you like to waiver your rights about the citizenship, you can give an instruction to your bank. Of course, maybe 3 weeks to 1 month of correspondence is required. And afterwards, your money will be released. You don't need to wait for the government to approve it. It's just an administrative process. And afterwards, you're free to use your money. So definitely, it's a more liquid option rather than real estate. To wrap up, in this video, we wanted to explain details of the second popular option of Turkish citizenship. If we compare the two options, of course, this one a bit more costly by the margin of 100,000 USD. And however, the rest of the requirements are the same. You need to keep your investment for 3 years. And the timeline for getting the citizenship is almost the same. And most of the time, this option is actually much faster. So if you have any questions you like to ask, you can leave it in the comments. You can contact us directly. And hope to see you in our next video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.